Welcome, members of the Esoteric Order of Gamers. We're about to play Confrontation! Confrontation is a tabletop miniatures game that was created by Rackham. It went through several editions. This is the last edition, the 4th edition, which had a few problems. It was considered a bit unbalanced. People got very upset about the fact that Rackham replaced their beautiful metal miniatures range with pre-painted plastic miniatures. It was a bit of a poor business decision because it alienated a whole lot of previous fans, and new fans didn't take up the system. And along with AT43, these two games didn't really go anywhere, and Rackham folded. Anyway, that sad story aside, it's still a great game, and the miniatures are still really good, and I enjoy collecting it. And you'll find on the Esoteric Order of Gamers site not only rule summaries and reference sheets, but an entire set of unit cards redesigned for your use. You can download them and print them out if you're still playing Confrontation, or if you consider getting the figures on eBay or whatever. So we're going to take you through a session of Confrontation. Will, man behind the camera there.
Hello.
And myself, Universal Head, and
otherwise known as Peter.
Yes, Peter. But, you know.
Yes, well, look at that head. It is pretty universal.
And show you how it plays, because it's quite a lot of fun.
Let's begin.
So, Will, tell us about your army.
Well, I'm playing the Ram army, which are, as you can see, undead. And they've got some truly hideous abilities, mostly around things like every time you hit them, they take 1 less damage. They always pass courage tests. They always make everybody more afraid than anybody can make them. They have things like drain life every time you kill something, regenerate every time you take damage, re-rolls on strength and attack tests, and all sorts of really nasty things that, of course, you have to remember. So, as you can see here, we have these absolute genius summary cards that Peter has created, which you can get, as we said, on the Esoteric Order of Gamers. But even so, it's also beautifully laid out. I have had to make a little summary of the summary just to remind myself, get this stuff into the frontal lobe before we start, so I don't forget.
Right, and I'm playing the Wolfen, who are basically very large, very nasty wolf creatures. Very attuned with nature and all that guff. So we have here some trackers, a small unit of trackers. There's the Sacred Vestals. We have over here a small unit of fangs, I should say. Now here's something of note. When I get my miniatures and I paint them, or these are pre-painted, some of these, I always write on the base the name of the unit. I find this really useful because you can immediately identify which unit is which. So that unit is led by Onx, the hero, or Onyx I should say. And over here we have a small unit of Great Fangs led by
Gronyard for short.
Yes, and then up in the tower here, you can see the Warhammer ruined tower here that I painted up. And we have up here a scout unit which can deploy anywhere on the field. And these are Sylvan Anime, which are basically animated tree spirits. And they can fly around causing havoc. But basically I'm a get in hard and hit 'em hard type of army.
Right, and so am I, so it's going to be brutal.
Ooh. The first thing you do in a normal turn of Confrontation is do the tactical phase. And what we're going to do is roll an authority or opposition test, which is a fancy way of saying initiative, basically. And what you do is each player rolls a die and adds their commander's authority score. After that, we go into an activation phase and we set up our sequence. There are various ways of activating the sequence of your units in Confrontation, but we're picking the way that we like the most, which is to basically set up the sequence of activation of your units at the start of the turn. So you do a strategy beforehand and you stick with that activation sequence.
Which sequence is that called? Is that the Warlord sequence or the...
That's called the... I forget sequence. Now in the original game you use the cards, the unit cards which came with the game as to mark your sequence. Because I like to use them as reference cards and not to muck around with moving them around, I made these little reference cards which you can get from the Esoteric Order of Games site, and you can use these as your little deck of activation. They have the picture of the unit on it. So Will won the authority opposition test. And then we've set up our sequence. So we've got a face down little deck of little cards showing us our activation sequence through the turn. Will chose to get me to activate a unit first. So I get my first choice, and it is these Sacred Vestals over here. And when I activate a unit, I can basically do all manner of things with it. I can walk, I can run, I can assault, cast spells, all the usual sort of fantasy tabletop miniatures tropes. So I'm going to decide what to do with the Sacred Vestals.
You mean you haven't decided yet?
No, I have no idea! And things are amusing right from the first turns, because I have moved my Sacred Vestals and my trackers right over from the flank. They started over here, but because they're incredibly fast, they move 20 centimetres and run 40 centimetres. They both sprinted over here towards the centre of the board, thus leaving his entire flank floundering around going, what are we going to do? We're way over here and stuck.
So now we see why I've got A, more troops, and B, potentially more hideous capabilities in combat, because most of my blokes can only move 7 and can't run. So it's just a...
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. Can you just give me that one more time? Yes, just like that.
Useless, brain dead, undead.
And I will be running rings around them, because I'm very fast, wolfen, loping, large.
Yes, but sooner or later you're going to have to run into combat, aren't you?
Sooner or later. Right, so that's the end of round 1 of this confrontation game. And you can see what happened is my forces, the Wolfen, have pretty much moved all over to the right flank and are getting in position for some nice charging, hopefully. Possibly. Not that we want to tell the other person that. And Will has moved his undead basically inexorably forward. But the last thing he did is he used Azael here, who is a magic user, to summon an entire new unit of undead thralls, which is rather terrifying. So I've really got to get in there and start pounding those undead before there just becomes hordes and hordes of them.
Yes, it's just going to get worse.
The skeletons are retreating.
Yes.
Obviously getting out of the way of any possible charge moves.
This is the intention. Whether it proves to be the result is yet to be seen. Particularly from them.
Right, my Rune Guardian in this unit can cast a sort of clerical spell. It's called a Communion, and it's called the Cuirass of Ilia. And that's a miracle. Miracle is just a very easy cast, spend the faith points, that's it. The Communion you have to make a test for. But in this case, I just spend 3 faith points, and the number of faith points of the unit is equal to the fervour of the faithful, which is the cleric, plus the number of figures in the unit. So this unit has a total faith pool of 8 points. So I just cast 3, and it gets sacred armour until the end of the turn, which basically makes it harder to hit.
Right, simple as that.
So, cast. And then they will move forward, and they are running. They usually move 15, they'll run 30, double.
Oh, it's going to hurt.
They're going to go around this obstacle. So there's plenty of room basically for them to go around the obstacle both sides. And just get themselves in a nice position to back up the imminent charge of these fellows. This is very frustrating. As the long afternoon sun is descending on our battlefield, the undead keep retreating into this building as I keep trying to charge them, which is really annoying as they're funneling me into this building, which is terrible. And all the while, their more powerful troops over here are getting closer and closer. Yes, it was an excellent strategy, but unfortunately my guys are just way too fast, and they went pouring into the building and smashing into the undead.
So the skeletons literally find themselves with their backs to the wall. Here we have, they've cast Blind Fury on themselves to get extra rerolls, and have passed their courage test, so they're not afraid of the skeletons, and in they go.
Excellent. Now to do the attack test, I basically take the action value. Every test in Confrontation is an action value minus a difficulty value, and you look that up on this one simple universal chart, and it gives you a number that you need to beat on a d6. It's very simple once you get the hang of it.
It is a good system.
So in this case, the attack value is my attack value, which is 7, and the difficulty is his defense, which is...
that's the helmet icon?
Yes.
6.
Oh no, it's the armor plate.
Oh, 1.
1. Undead Thralls, not too good.
No.
So, what did I say? 7.
Yes.
7 minus 1. So 6. If I look 6, I get the fantastic "you're rocking" symbol.
Right.
It's a funny little symbol on the end, and what it means is that the action succeeds on a 2+, and all 5 and 6 give bonus dice as if they were 6s. Oh, sorry, all 4 and 5s give bonus dice as if they were 6s, because if you roll a 6, you get a bonus dice. So basically, they're stuffed.
And you get re-rolls as well because of your blind faith.
Indeed.
But, so roll some dice.
Right, so they roll 2 dice each. These are the normal guys, there's 3 of those, so I roll 6 dice all up. 6 dice. Here we go. Anything else? No, that's it. We roll and we get, they're all 2 pluses, and we get 1 6, and we get to roll that one again.
It's another
That's
6.
another one. They're exploding dice, so you keep getting right. So that's 3, 4, 5. What was that? 7. 7 hits all up.
7 hits all up. Didn't you have a re-roll because of your blind faith?
I do, but I hit with all of
Oh,
them.
you hit anyway. Okay, right.
Yeah.
7 hits.
7 hits. So then the next thing we do is, you still filming? Yes, you are. It's a strength test. Now, action value is attacker strength minus the resilience. My strength is 7. Your resilience, which is the helmet.
That's 6.
They're pretty resilient.
Yeah, pretty resilient. Well, they are dead.
I need a 4+ on that. So I roll 7 dice. 4+. Here we go. Let's kill the undead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 hits.
6 hits.
That's the entire unit eliminated except for the fellow at the back.
Excellent. And the leader hasn't attacked yet. I'm going to wipe out this unit in one go, which is really good because he keeps bringing new undead onto the battlefield and I have to kill them. I do get 2 elixir points, which is sort of victory points, for killing each one of these units.
Right.
An interesting situation here because we have the very fast wolfen and the very, very slow undead. Now, Will has just pointed out that he has fallen into my trap, the trap that I wasn't even aware I was making, by creating lots of weak undead units, which are very, very slow, and I can run rings around and kill, bashing them in the background, thus getting elixir points and winning, and then avoiding him from then on. I've almost finished one unit off. They're almost dead. There's just a Skull Warrior leader to kill. And here my Vestals were just about to run out from the building against those undead, but unfortunately they failed their courage test, so they're still skulking and scouring. Cowering, I should say, in the ruins of the tower.
Right, and now it's my turn. My gargoyles are going to go and swoop down here and attack you from behind.
It's all happening within the ruins of this building. Curses.
Die, filthy, whatever you are, minotaur things.
Wolves.
Wolves. There we go. Have at thee.
Well, the gargoyles swooped in behind the great fangs and have basically wiped out another 2 of them. There's only the leader left and he's taken half of his hit points, so this is not good. It's not good at all. The gargoyles are quite strong, certainly a damn sight stronger than undead thralls. So after that battle in the building, we have Yanru, his name which I cannot pronounce, in here, and his whole unit has been wiped out by gargoyles, and he's the only one left, and he's got this huge hailbird thing, and he's being attacked by gargoyles. So you can imagine he's within the ruins of this building. Okay, these look like inert miniatures that are sitting there doing nothing. But what we're really imagining is this guy with his huge halberd swinging around his head desperately, and gargoyles going around and slicing heads as he desperately swings it around, and he killed one.
He killed one and wounded another.
Fantastic little scene.
Yes, it was.
This is what it's all about in tabletop miniatures games, of course. There's things happen on the board and, you roll dice and all the rest of it. But really good little scenes come out. You can imagine them very, very cinematic and exciting.
Yes, the mechanics are all very well, but what we're really interested in is what's going on in there.
The battle in the ruins continues as the Sylvan anime come flying over the back here and engage the gargoyles. It's all on. Can you imagine the battle royale that is happening in there?